Welcome to Wellspring on the Air. I'm Judith Lemus, a therapist at Wellspring and the host of today's show about mental health and physical activity. With me today to discuss this really practical and important topic is Jenny Ortiz. Together, we really just want to explore how physical health and mental health are linked and how we can implement physical activity in our lives for our own positive benefit. So stay with us. We've got some very needed conversation on improving our physical health and our mental health. So welcome, Jenny. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into it?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Ortiz, and I'm a registered mental health intern. I like to travel, spend time with friends and family. And of course, I like to work out. And recently, physical fitness has been something that I've just become more consistent with. I found that working out has helped me with different aspects of my life, and fitness has become just a healthy and positive way for me to channel stress and anxiety. And it's given me another avenue to build community and pour into my friends and family.
Awesome. So physical activity is important in your life, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
eager to hear how we can implement that, how we can make it practical for ourselves. So go ahead. What can you tell us about how physical activity and mental health are linked and how it can benefit us?
Yeah, so there's so many correlations, so many connections that can be said, and I'm just going to highlight a few of those for you guys. So the first one is that it can be a distraction from negative thoughts and ruminations. We've seen studies that have been done specifically for sports and how this has been the case, right? That they focus less on negative thoughts and that negative mentality, and then they're able to boost their self-esteem because they're able to master a sport and get really good at something. Another benefit is that the social interaction portion of it. So whether it's a sport, a workout class, the gym, you're going to be surrounded by other people. And so that is going to help you as you're going through different mental struggles because that social interaction can actually improve your mental health. And then another benefit is that it is a coping skill or an outlet for people suffering from depression, anxiety, or stress. It's a
Mhm.
healthy way to release those negative emotions.
Okay, yeah, and I've actually seen this a lot with some of my clients as well, where you see not only physical activity, you get the body moving and you are distracted from the negative thoughts, but often I find that especially for people who are like depressed or not being able to achieve what they want, this is something that does build self-esteem because they are achieving something, they're getting something done that is good for them. So I do see how that boosts people self-esteem. And definitely I can see how in sports it can build the social skills needed for some people who are lacking because they are interacting with other people and working towards a goal together. So I can see how that really helps.
And then another really important aspect as well is that exercise increases the blood circulation to the brain. And so what that does, it affects different parts of the body, which helps with motivation and mood. It helps with the fear response to stress and memory formation and motivation. So there's just so many different aspects, both when it comes to our mental health and also scientifically with our body and the brain and how it all comes together to really help us be better and feel better, right? And so it also increases our lifespan. And according to the World Health Organization, people who are insufficiently active have a 20 to 30% increased risk of death compared to people who are sufficiently active.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really highlights just how important physical activity is. And I was thinking about when you said how physical activity affects the brain, and absolutely the brain is a very sensitive organ, and it is the one that's in charge of our feelings and our emotions and our memory and all of that. So definitely we want to take good care of that and make sure that it's working properly. So okay, you've been telling us about physical activity, how it helps. Tell us what's maybe how much physical activity is a little bit physical activity? Should it be a lot or vigorous? Tell us about that.
Yes, of course. So there's been different studies done, but all you really need is 30 minutes of moderate physical activity 5 days a week.
Hmm.
So you can break that up however you want. Maybe you can only make it 3 days and you just go a little longer. But that's all you really need. So that could be walking, jogging, playing a sport, going to a workout class. It's really that simple.
Okay, so that sounds really good. But what are other benefits that we can find for mental health or just the physical in the physical body that we can get from physical activity?
Yes, of course. So there's so many benefits. I wish I could tell you all of them, but I don't want to bore you. So I'll tell you
Wouldn't
a
be
few of
bored.
them. Some of the mental health benefits, it decreases symptoms of anxiety, stress, depression, and it can actually improve mental health among people with serious mental health illnesses. So there was a study done on individuals with schizophrenia,
Hmm.
and it showed that exercise could actually alleviate some of the secondary symptoms of schizophrenia, which
Okay,
those are the depression, the low self-esteem, the social
gotcha.
withdrawal.
Hmm.
But it also showed that it could be useful for as a coping strategy for people with schizophrenia who are having auditory hallucinations. So exercise is very powerful, right? And for some
Okay.
people, yeah, for some people, we see how it can be as equally as effective as psychotherapy. So this means medication for mental illnesses such as antidepressants. And again, this is not for everybody, but for some people who are mildly depressed, maybe a little bit moderately depressed, they can benefit from exercise and often experience faster results
Hmm.
because of the endorphins that are so quickly produced as you're working out.
Hmm.
And many times medication takes 2 to 4 weeks to actually begin doing its job. So
Hmm.
very, very powerful tool that we have access to.
It
And it also
definitely sounds
improves,
powerful.
yeah, it also improves our self-esteem, our thinking, our cognition. And like I mentioned earlier, it reduces social isolation.
Okay. Yeah, we can see just the amazing effects on it. Um, Definitely, we do see that it helps a lot with people who have depression. Um, I would just say to that, just to add on a little bit, it definitely improves pretty quickly for people, for any listener out there who has had difficulty getting started doing physical activity due to the depression. That's okay. If you do need a little bit more time through the help of medication or therapy, that's okay. But often I do find that in improving our baseline, the physical health, like you said, whether that be physical activity, the sleeping, or the eating, we're often in a better condition to face our mental health issues as well. So I can see how improving that physical aspect of our life can make a big difference. Awesome.
Yes.
So, what about some of the other physical benefits? We've just talked about the mental health ones. What about the physical body?
Yes, of course. So it definitely improves sleep, it increases your energy, you have better cardiorespiratory and muscular health, as well as improving your bones, your functional health. It can help you in the long run as well by reducing the risk of hypertension, coronary heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even various types of cancers, such as breast cancer and colon cancer. It can reduce the risk of falling because you're strengthening your muscles and your bones as you're working out.
Mhm.
Um, and it can improve your ability to do everyday activities.
Okay, and it also sounds like these are lifetime benefits and not just benefits in the moment. When I hear things like, oh, reduces the risk of falling, it might not be as dangerous for people who are younger, but for people who are older, those are very dangerous things. So starting to improve now is helpful, and improving physical health at an older age is also helpful as well. So we've heard all about the wonderful benefits that we can get mentally, physically, and that sounds really great. But now what we want to know is, how do we get those benefits? How do we implement it? How do we make this practical for our lives?
Yes, of course. So the most important part is to start, right? We all have to get active, and physical activity can look different for everybody. But as
Mhm.
long as you're being active, as long as you're whether that's walking, jogging, swimming, you're going to a workout class, you're joining a sport, as long as you're getting physically active moderately for at least 30 minutes every day, 5 days a week, then you're doing all that you need to do to get these benefits. So all you need is 30 minutes a day. And
Okay.
the beautiful thing is that you can break it up. So let's say you wake up and you go for a 10-minute walk. And then after lunch, you go on another 10-minute walk. And at the end of your day, you go for another 10-minute walk. That is 30 minutes. So it's just
Hmm.
as equally as effective and useful as you working out for 30, 45 minutes straight, right?
Yeah, and that sounds much more feasible than what maybe a lot of people picture in their mind of like physical activity. I have to wake up an hour earlier to go for a run or something like that. It definitely sounds much less intimidating to be able to do, okay, 10-minute walk at my lunch break, another 10-minute walk, and at the end of the day, another 10-minute walk. Sounds so much more doable, especially for me who's been thinking about how can I implement this better. So I'm glad that you say that it's equally as effective. I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not doing as much as or as intense maybe as other people do.
Right. And again, it's about what works for you. So if that's what works for you, then just make that happen, right? It's about making a plan and
Hmm.
sticking to the plan. I think that's the hardest part, but also maybe finding accountability. Sometimes we need other people to come along with us, right? And we see in the Bible in Genesis 2:18 how it says it's not good for man to be alone. And so
Hmm.
that can also apply here as well because let's be real, we don't want to wake up at 5 in
Yeah.
the morning out
Yeah.
of bed to go for a run. But if we have somebody else who's going to be there texting us, "Hey, are we working out today?" then that might make it a little bit more feasible and more realistic for you to go when you don't feel like going.
Hmm.
But creating those habits and starting small, right? Setting a goal that is specific, that's measurable, that's relevant, and that's going to help you with your goals as it
Hmm.
relates to physical exercise. I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. Yes, accountability can really help a lot. There's another person who's checking in with you. Hey, have you reached your goal? Have we reached our goal? So you guys feel that you're working towards something together. So you brought up, what the Bible has to say with how we are to do things in life. And you said we're not supposed to live life alone, even in this aspect of physical activity. So let's get into it. Let's talk more biblically and what God has to say about physical activity, if he says anything at all. What does God say, Jenny?
Yes. So, a few verses that I found when it comes to physical activity that I think are so important to highlight. The first one is 1 Corinthians 6:19 through
Okay.
20. It says, "But do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body." And so I love how this talks about treating our body as a temple, right? And what that means is that we're taking care of it. And one of the ways you can do that is through physical exercise, physical activity, because of all the benefits as well, right? So we're taking care of our body physically, mentally, emotionally, just by exercising.
Hmm.
And we see how, Jesus, right? He delivered us from our sin by purchasing the price of our sin by shedding his blood on the cross. So this means that he bought us with a price. So now we have the choice to glorify God with our body by taking care of our body by honoring it as well.
Okay. Yeah, and I like how it does say so straight out, you're not your own. So that means technically our body isn't for us to do whatever we want to it or neglect it, but it's for God. And that means it's something precious. It houses, like it talks about being a temple, housing the spirit within you. So something precious inside as well. So we should take care of it as much as we can.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, a few other verses that we see in Proverbs, the book of wisdom, is a wise man is full of strength and a man of knowledge enhances his might.
Okay.
Another one is she surrounds her waist with strength and makes her arms strong.
Hmm.
So we see here how it's important to exercise and gain that physical strength.
Hmm.
And it pleases God when we take care of our body.
Yeah. Yeah. So to be more wise, or the wise thing is to make sure that your body is healthy and strong. So yeah, God definitely has a lot to say about taking care of our bodies. It's really important. So how can we then honor God with physical exercise? We know it's important to honor God with our bodies, but how do we do it?
Yeah. So, God says in the word, it says that it's important for us to work out physically, but even more important to work out our salvation,
Mhm.
to build
Mhm.
ourselves spiritually, right? So one way that we can honor God through physical exercise is through our mental posture. We know
Okay.
that the spiritual benefit of exercise comes through our mental posture at the moment of our most intense physical exertion. So
Okay.
exercise, it becomes an experience, right? It's a
Mhm.
way, it teaches us mentally how to confront situations that we face in our own lives. And the more that we prove to ourselves that we can do it, that we're equipped, then the more that we're going to be strengthened to do that practically in our lives as well. So it's about that mental shift and perspective, that process of sanctification and really like pushing through and persevering. And we
Okay.
see, hmm
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I was just thinking how that translates, that very I guess more simple or practical version of overcoming troubles, pushing through when things get hard, when maybe you want to give up, when you feel like you just don't want to keep going, and then learning how to push through, then translates into more worldly matters, so to speak, or other types of struggles where we also learn, hey, I can keep going through difficult things and achieve the things that I'm supposed to.
yes, exactly. And that's what we see in James 1, verses 2 through 4. It says,
Mhm,
consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let
mhm.
perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So goes exactly with what you were saying, how it teaches us what we need to face those situations. It gives us the mental, I guess, perseverance that we need in order to apply it physically as well. So we know that physical fitness is a glimpse of God's goodness, right? We have the
Right.
ability to walk, to run, to exercise. And I think just being thankful for that, just praising God and applying that, taking advantage of that gift
Mhm.
is something that is very important and that we can do in our lives.
Absolutely, and it is a gift that God has given us, and how we experience our life and how we can use that to glorify God in everything. We are to glorify God even in the physical activity. It's time to close our show. Thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us today and shedding light on the topic of mental health and physical activity. We hope that you learned the importance of physical activity for mental health and just life overall, and the practical ways that you can implement it into your life for positive change. So super grateful, Jenny, for this topic, this experience, this conversation. Thank you again for joining our show today. Again, if you joined this program midstream, you can find this show and others on podcast at Wellspring on the Air or on our blog on wellspringmiami.org. The title of today's show again was Mental Health and Physical Activity. Encourage us and let us know that you're listening by sending comments or questions to ontheair@wellspringmiami.org. It's time to wrap up. This is Judith Lemus with Wellspring on the Air, because hearts and minds matter.